Hey toy fans, I'm D21Beast and welcome back to my figure review series here on my YouTube channel. And today we're once again looking at those line of Marvel Master superhero figures released by Hasbro. Before you, we've got Juggernaut, released in 2015. Now if you guys saw my previous review of the Death of Wolverine Masher, I was a bit disappointed by the super weak articulation that these Mashers have now in 2015, with only really 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 points of articulation versus what we got originally with ankle articulation, hinges at the shoulders. Now these Mashers are just really depressing on the articulation front. So I was about ready to pass up Juggernaut, my favorite X-Man villain, altogether because it looks like he's got the same weak shoulder articulation that Wolverine figure had. But Target had a sale and this guy was 50% off, so I thought I'd go ahead and give him a try. Plus, he's got the added benefit of coming with parts for Colossus, one of my two favorite X-Men. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get things started by taking a look at the packaging for this figure and see if he was worth the purchase. As you come down the front of this box, you do have a window box packaging that does house this Juggernaut figure inside, as well as his accessories. On the right hand side, you got the name for the figure, and on the left hand side, you do have an example of a mashed up hero, followed by the logo, Marvel Superhero Mashers, there towards the bottom. Flipping this package around, you do once again have that Marvel Superhero Mashers logo at the top. You've got an image of Juggernaut mashed up with a bunch of other figures. On the right hand side, you have all the other figures currently available in this wave. And is that a Masher's Wing of Sauron on Juggernaut? Why couldn't we get a figure of that? Alright guys, so that's the packaging. Let's say we get Kane Marco out of the box and see what this guy is all about. Alright toy fans, so here we have the Juggernaut Masher out of the box, and really I've got to address the elephant in the room. This Juggernaut does have these same weak shoulder joints that we saw on that Death of Wolverine Masher, which means his arm will only rotate around like this and does not bend out with any sort of hinge like the older Mashers had. Such a disappointment. And while we're touching on articulation, let's go ahead and just point out that his head will rotate all the way around, but if you want to get Juggernaut in a charging pose, you're not going to be able to do it because his head barely tips up at all. Another huge disappointment. But he does have a full rotation here at the elbow. It's a bit hindered because of this ridiculous arm coming out of this tumor on his forearm. And that arm will actually allow him to fire this missile when you press it from behind. Because, you know, Juggernaut's got rocket fists in the comics, right? And then as we come down, he does have a full ball-jointed hip here that will rotate all the way around and bend forward and back that far. The best point of articulation on this figure is right here in his hips. And then his knee does bend down this far and bend forward that far and rotate all the way around. So that's it for the articulation. Same thing here on the other side. So if you're getting excited for a future Masher figure, just know you're not going to be able to pose it. But, articulation out of the way, let's go ahead and look at the detail on this guy. The head sculpt is kind of nice and simple and fun, I suppose. I do wish that there was some sort of alternate Kane Marco head and not just this Juggernaut helmeted head, but this is what we have here, so you might as well have fun with it. And then you see that he does have some painted detail here around the collar, which is nice, but it does not continue all the way through to the other side, even though there's sculpted detail there. Coming down the figure, you can see that his abdomen has been painted and sculpted just like that looks in the comics, so, you know, you get points there. And then as we come down further, he does have painted boots, so simple color scheme for this Juggernaut figure, but it is comic book accurate, so I can't fault them for that. But man, that articulation's really killing me. Masher's Juggernaut actually comes with all the accessories that you see here. The first one I'm going to point out is this Colossus head, which is nice. It's molded in a silver plastic. It does have a little bit of a marbleization effect, and then they did paint the hair black. I do wish there was a little bit of paintwork on the eyes, but it's not too bad. And as we pull off the head sculpt on Juggernaut here, you can see that this head does attach very firmly to the body, so it's nice that we have a Colossus head. It probably means we're not getting a Colossus Masher individually, which is a real bummer. And then we can also see that we have this Colossus fist, so we can just go ahead and pull this off. And as you see here with this Colossus fist, there is a silver molded marbleized plastic, and then they've painted the actual wristband for this Colossus. And then you can just plug it right there on his forearm. So you can get your sort of Juggalossus, or whatever you want to call him, Fear Itself Juggernaut sort of Masher figure going on here. Finally, Juggernaut has these pieces. And I'm not sure what these are supposed to be. They almost look like screwdrivers or jackhammer ends, but Juggernaut's not a member of the Wrecking Crew, so why would they include these with him? I guess they're maybe... Oh, I've got it. You can probably plug these into his back. There we go. These must be rabbit ears. That way Juggernaut can tune into those awful YouTube videos that only Brett Ratner thought were funny enough to reference in X-Men The Last Stand. Or maybe they're just screwdrivers. Ha! What is going on? It won't fit in the hole! Nope, well that didn't work. And moving on. Alright guys, so if you're watching this review and you're not familiar with Mashers and what they're all about, they are a toy line that allows you to separate your figure at the head, the elbow, the hip, and the knee joint, and mix and match them with other figures available in the line. I've got a bunch of extra parts here. Let's see what kind of crazy combination we can come up with. We'll start by removing Juggernaut's head and then his joints here at the elbow. And we'll even go pull off his legs. And then let's go ahead and give him Wolverine's head. And when we're doing that, let's go ahead and put that a Colossus arm back on because I thought that looked pretty cool on this guy. So we'll plug that in on that side. And let's go ahead and give him a Starscream arm on the other side because Juggernaut can always use a gun, right? And then let's go ahead and add these crazy Dinosaur Legs. If you saw my recent review of the Mashers Velociraptor, you know that this is definitely a Masher of a different kind, and it'd be pretty cool to see Juggernaut, or pretty silly anyway, to see Juggernaut with Dinosaur Legs. So let's go ahead and get those plugged on, and you can see this guy's looking absolutely ridiculous. And Mashers are definitely a line that allows you to create and mix and match and make your own superhero or villain or dinosaur or whatever the line happens to include. And when you get done, you have something incredibly insane and weird, like this sort of Wolverine jetpacked dinosaur thing, I guess we'll call them. And of course, the more Mashers you have in your collection, the more options you're going to have to mix, match, and create. Height-wise, we can see that Mashers Juggernaut does stand right about 6.5 inches tall. For some size comparison, here we have Mashers Juggernaut compared to the Mashers brown and yellow Wolverine figure. And compared to Pyro, Deadpool, and Iceman, here he is dwarfed by Marvel Legends Juggernaut figure. And compared to the Marvel Select Juggernaut figure, thank you, Jeff, and I swear I'll review this guy soon. And finally, excuse me, and finally, here he is compared to the 6-inch scale Marvel Legends Infinite Series Wolverine. You ain't all that, Bob. Are you kidding me? I'm the Juggernaut. Don't even bother. Alright, toy fans, well that's my review of the Marvel Superhero Masters Juggernaut figure released by Hasbro in 2015. Overall, as much as I love Juggernaut as a villain and character in the X-Men universe, I've gotta say you probably want to give this figure a pass unless you can find it on sale. The missile-firing hand gimmick is just kind of a joke. I guess if you're a child, maybe that's a fun play feature. It doesn't do anything for me. And it's really unfortunate that Juggernaut doesn't have proper hinges in his shoulders, so he can only rotate his arms back and forth. It really limits the posability of this guy, and what you can do with other pieces once you have them mashed onto this figure. Hasbro, I implore you, change this tactic, please. Otherwise, you're going to see me buying a lot fewer Marvel Mashers in the future. And please don't ruin the Star Wars Mashers this fall by giving them those same weak shoulder joints. That would just be awful. Well, thanks for watching this review, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like what you saw here, please feel free to rate, share, subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.